Sparring and injuries just seem to go hand in hand, but we want to avoid them. We don't want to come out of every sparring session going, oh, this same injury that keeps bugging me, oh, I damaged it again. Today I'm going to share with you how to stop 4 very common sparring injuries so you can come out and go, oh, that was fun, not, oh, hurt again. I want to let everybody know that my upcoming Strike Ready course, Movement, which is going to focus on footwork, range, and balance, we're starting that August 18th. We have 5 weeks of the course, 3 live calls within that time period, and you're going to learn so much about how to up your defense, up your offense, and feel more stable, balanced. Just, it's a fundamental which you have to have. And if you've already taken one of my Strike Ready courses, you know these are packed with amazing content. If it's your first time, you are absolutely gonna love it. We still have early bird pricing. There's a link down below. Jump on that before it's gone. Now we are talking about injuries and sparring. And the reality, as I said in the introduction, is injuries just happen. It's the nature of it, but we want to minimize those injuries. Nonetheless, there are ones that always seem to come up for people. I hear it time and time again. And the very first one that I want to focus on is front kicks. And when you throw a front kick, what are the common injuries? The toes getting jammed. If you feel like this is something that continually happens to you, we're going to try and solve that for you right now. And then we're going to move into obviously protecting the head, bruised shins, and damaged elbows from blocking round kicks usually. We're going to touch on all that. But let's start with these front kicks. The front kick is something that when you throw it out and somebody goes, oh, I'm going to block that, right? They probably want to be scooping or catching, but sometimes it's just that involuntary reflex, protect. And you feel like, every time they do it, I'm getting my toes busted up, and it doesn't feel nice, I've been told. I've never had this happen, and I've never had it happen because of the correction, which I'm going to share with you right now. Many people, when they throw their front kicks, forget about pumping the knee high. When I pump the knee up high, and then I go to kick out, it's very difficult for me to do this upwards motion, because then I'm going to be kicking up at the face. So think of it more as a stomping through motion. That stomp through is going to help you go, okay, instead of kicking with the toes upwards, I'm going to hit through. And then if somebody puts their elbows down and they go like this, it doesn't matter because you're not kicking this direction. You are kicking this direction. And you want to make that your priority, up and push through the target. In addition, many people are unable to hold their foot in the position which is required for a proper front kick. What do I mean by that? Well, we want to point the foot, but obviously that's going to bust up our toes. So from there, we point the foot and we pull the toes back because we don't want to hit like this. We want that motion. Many people can't do it, but what's a simple activity or motion that you can do to learn it? Go into your fighting stance, and on the back foot, tip forward, keeping the primary pressure in the ball of the foot, but really stretching the toes. And now from there, I lift and I kick the ground. And that is my striking surface. And that's exactly what we want to do when we come in on somebody. We use that same portion of the foot to hit them. So there's no chance of driving those toes up into the elbows and hurting them, which again I've been told is so common. Heard it hundreds of times. Keep jamming my toes, keep jamming my toes. And I go, yeah, well, because you're doing your front kick like this, and you're not getting that correct foot position, and you're not kicking the correct way through the target. Before we move on to protecting those shins, I just want to give a shout out to XMartial for supporting this channel and just always being an awesome company who has awesome gear. I love them. I love them so much. I have a link down below where you can save 10%. Now, shins. This is one that we're going to look at this in 2 different ways. Number one, how can you protect them? Just assuming that they're going to get bashed up. but also what can you do in terms of your technique. So very first thing, I'll tell you a little story. I think it was actually on my right shin for about a decade. I could slide my hand up, and then most people, they go, oh, look at that, that's pretty smooth. I could slide it up, and I had about a centimeter divot. Just be going, 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 and then soft, and then back to hard. And I just smashed that. And I probably did it throwing a massive low kick, and the person probably checked, and they probably blocked with their knee, and I just, bam, smashed it in. And then I didn't take the recovery time, and bam, smashed it again. What did I learn from that? You've got to let it recover, because shin injuries are going to happen. How did I finally let it recover and get back to the point where now this is smooth and there's no divot in there? I doubled up on my shin pads. I took a regular shin pad, which just sort of goes around and you have to Velcro it. And then below that, I put one of the little pull-on ones, these little flimsy kind of things that you might fight in if you're an amateur. I put that on, like a sock, and then I put my regular one around. Double up on the shin pads, very often just on my back leg because that's the one that was damaged. This allowed me to do two things. Number one, it allowed me to kick harder without hurting people as much. But number two, if they did check, it protected me. But now in terms of throwing the round kick and damaging ourselves, how do we mitigate that? How do we minimize the risk? Well, really, you're not doing anything wrong. If you're coming in and you're blasting a round kick, then somebody's checking it and you feel like, oh, my shins are getting damaged, because that is the striking surface which we can use. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to go, oh, I have to correct my technique. But what you do need to do is have that ability to go, okay, am I kicking light or am I kicking hard? And then adjusting. Because if you see this person not check, then yeah, you blast through. And if you see them coming up here, you want to be going, okay, and pulling it a little bit. Having that ability, just like when you punch, to midway through commit to full power or 70% power is very important. It's a very important skill set. So don't predetermine from out here how hard you're going to throw something. Sometimes get in here and go, okay, I'm trying to load up, but now I'm just going to flick it. Flick instead. And then sometimes you commit, boom, to the full power. When I was able to start doing that and not commit to full damage, gonna kill them, gonna take that thigh out. That's when this was able to recover. And this is the point now where I don't damage my shins anymore. Because if somebody checks, I just ease back on that power. Now, of course, a common injury that everybody is probably most fearful about is the brain and the concussions that come with fight sports. Now, if you're sparring like a crazy person and you're leaving with a headache all the time, I would first say, what are you doing? Like, why? Why is this happening? But in terms of going, how can we properly protect the head? The very first thing is you should be training defense. If you're not training defense and you're just hitting the pads, you're doing your shadow boxing, you're doing your bag work, and you're not taking time to practice your defense, of course you're gonna get hit too much. You've got to take time where you have somebody throw at you and just boom, boom. Maybe jab, cross, hook, bam, bam, bam. They come round kick, boom, you're blocking it. You see and get to practice what it's like. So you get very, very adept at blocking techniques and you don't panic in the middle. But nonetheless, one of the biggest things that I learned throughout the years is as a beginner, or even an advanced person, but especially beginner, hands back to the forehead is a massive savior. So instead of me going, okay, I'm gonna have my hands out here, step in, just keep them at that point. When I started going, oh, hands are always here, finish, always here. It's very rare for me to get smashed with a big shot without having it glance at least off my glove and mitigate that damage. So that is something to start with right away. Well working the defense, of course, separately. The two of those are gonna save you so much. Now, in addition, let's talk about how hard you should be sparring. And if you do wanna spar hard, how can you minimize the impact while still getting those hard rounds in? What I do very often is if I have a hard fight coming up, I go from here down. And I'm going, okay, I have a hard fight. I know it's gonna be a bit of a gritty thing and I know I'm gonna have to have great cardio and I wanna get those rounds where I'm swinging and I'm hitting, but I don't wanna smash my partner and leave them with a concussion. So I'll do, they can still throw headshots, but I'll do everything below. And it's okay sometimes to ask people, can you do the same with me? We want to go hard. We want to really spar today, but we're going to try and drop each other with the body shots, chop down the leg, maybe touch once in a while up there, but that's a great sparring method to still get that power but not leave with the headaches. But unfortunately, there's no spectacular way to go, oh, okay, I want to get better at taking shots. It's just get hit less is a fantastic strategy. Now let's move in to the elbows. This is one that I feel many people get damaged on, and more often than not, it's because they're blocking round kicks. All right, somebody comes and throws a round kick and they end up getting shin across the elbow, and that hurts like crazy. I still have elbow pain from my last fight from dropping the elbows into that guy's head, and I chipped something in there, and oh, it hurts. Like I can touch it on the counter sometimes and pull it off in pain. So I know what that feels like. But I also know that when you are getting your elbow clipped by a shin or a foot, very often it's because you're not making the adjustment and keeping this elbow tight enough to the body. When I go to block a round kick, if I flare my elbow out, that's when it gets clipped. When I keep it tight to the body, if it hits, it doesn't seem to clip in the same way, at least in my experience. And this is a much better block here as opposed to here, because there's less risk of this kick bouncing in and my own hands hitting my head, or overreaching and then the person switches levels and it comes over top. So whichever direction they're kicking, I keep this arm super snug. Boom. Almost elbow tucked right in on the inside of the body. And I never have my elbow get clipped. Bang! 80% of the power of the kick is taken away with this arm, and there's only 20% left here. So even if they do happen to clip, it doesn't matter. But when you start doing this kind of thing and you reach, that's when that pain is gonna come and you're gonna get lit up there. So be very careful on your cross block technique. Whichever arm is not reaching across stays super snug to the body, and then from there you will mitigate that damage. And just a little bonus thing, the last one that I want to talk about is the hooks. Many people find that they hurt their wrists. Very common. I think it's more common to hurt your wrist in pad work or bag work because you have an object that's not moving the same. But in general, if you are struggling with wrist damage, start working, okay, on my hooks. My elbow stays as high as my hand. The common mistake is the elbow drops, and then I have to adjust my wrist a little bit so I land flush on here. And if I don't do that, then I'm landing more like this, and there's just so much damage that can come by not having this elbow high enough. To keep it high enough and feel like I'm not overstretching my shoulder, I simply lift my shoulder. My shoulder does this. I want to throw. As I throw my hook, I just pop that shoulder up. Boom. Boom. So much easier than having my shoulder down and trying to flare up, where it now feels like my whole chest is overstretching. So keep these wrists safe by protecting yourself on those hooks and flaring that elbow and that shoulder up very high. If you look at all the things I talked about today, I think you can really mitigate the damage which you take in sparring, which just makes the whole experience so much more fun. Thanks for joining, everybody. I'll see you back here very soon.